Welcome to the Comic Shop Does a Podcast with me, Aaron Z. Lee. I am a creator of indie comics such as Wesley the Robot, Pizza's Pizza, and Creeper the Crop.
Oh, and I am Evan Quay. I'm a consumer of indie comics like Pizza's Pizza and Wesley the Robot. And we're here with very special guests today. Where's my special guest camera? We're going with. We're going to start with Matt. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Matt Nguyen. I'm a
Oh, great voice for radio too. That comes across really good in the headphones.
Nice. I'm a indie comics creator out here in Oswego, New York.
And I'm Alex Dexter, and I just like all things indie comics.
Special guest stars: Alex Dexter, Matt Nguyen, and it doesn't stop there.
And I am Cayetano Valenzuela. I am a comics creator and artist here in Oswego, New York.
Look at that! Look at the production value.
He's got your graphic of your avatar from social media, your drawing of yourself there.
And
It looks great. It
And a
looks
very
great.
creative camera angle that I
Matches
don't
the
know if I
colors
like.
that you're wearing too.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Well, I do love black and muted tones.
It's almost like
You're
we're
doing
doing
it.
this out. So, Aaron, what are we talking about?
We're talking about our favorite rice recipes, how to use a rice cooker, how to cook it on the stove.
Yo,
all
peel off for days.
That's right. How to make some sticky rice, how to make sushi.
That was cool.
We'll be getting into that a little bit later. Hopefully everybody at home has all their supplies out in front of them.
Little rice pudding.
Oh, right. How could we forget? Rice pudding.
It's dessert, though.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yep. Horchata. That's made from rice.
Yeah.
Not
It's like
really.
better
Yeah.
rice pudding.
Matt's lost already.
Is
And I-
rice pudding the same thing as tapioca? I'm not sure.
Yes.
No.
Ish.
No.
Yes,
I have
ish.
no idea.
No,
It's
tapioca
close.
is like specifically the little gelatin balls in like whatever flavor of pudding you want. Rice
Okay.
pudding is just pudding with rice in it, more or less. Like that's a really plain Jane way of describing it.
But I think we can all agree that flan is great. Anyway,
Flan is
Rice.
great.
Rice was the Rochester Independent Comics Expo, which happened March 25th. Was it the 25th?
Happened just
Saturday?
five short days ago. 6 short days ago.
Yeah, so there was a nice opening talk that happened there with some creators of indie comics reading excerpts from their comics, which was great. Our guest Cayetano was one of them.
Cayetano, one of the brilliant speakers there at Rice. I was so happy, and Matt, you don't know this, but he's been working on that strip, that comic for a while now, and I think that there was discussion about how to end it.
Yeah, there was a little. I think that's the third or fourth maybe version of the ending.
And I think, Alex, I was thrilled because he's going through the strip, and I'm like, I wonder where this is going. I wonder where this is going.
Yep.
And I felt like, oh, he nailed the landing. And it was such a funny ending too. So everybody had like 6 to 8 minutes to talk about their work, and I was so happy that you chose that piece. So happy that you figured out the ending. And then I thought it was so funny afterwards, the number of people that came up to your table and was like, oh, I want to buy that comic.
I had such good reactions from literally everybody. So many people came up, even the next day at the actual convention.
Very cool.
Everyone was coming up being like, "Yo, we really loved it," and I was like, okay, cool. I think I did it right.
You
So,
did. I think I was just again thrilled to see that ending.
So was,
Hopefully we can get that in print at some point in time.
was this your first time being a speaker at an event like that?
No, actually, I did a panel in Austin for
Okay.
the BIPOC Symposium, and that's like Black, Brown, Indigenous people of color,
Yep.
comic creators, and gamers and stuff like that.
Sure.
And it was a small symposium. It was sort of at the very tail end of when was it?
Like a year ago?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't-
Just about a
in
year.
March.
No, you're right.
Yeah, March
It
of
was in March. It was
2022.
about a year ago, and so that was the first time that I've done comics talk. But I've done many artist talks.
Sure.
over
Yeah.
the years,
Okay.
The thing that I really liked about your presentation, not to say that anybody else's presentation was good, because I think they were all pretty good.
We're gonna grade all the presentations.
Yeah, we're gonna put A's, B's, and C's.
I didn't get to see
together.
it. I'll give you an A plus.
Gold star.
But you told a complete story in yours, whereas other people were just giving kind of a shortened snippet. So it was a more satisfying experience to have you narrate all of it
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
together. And I can't help but think about, because we've talked about like NPR and like storytelling and stuff
Yeah.
before, and like how perfect like a marriage of that story, like just having you read your story as it's happening, like as you're flipping through it, and how it's kind of like comics meets The Moth, like a little bit. So
I love that because I
Yeah.
absolutely adore The Moth.
Yeah.
Anything having to do with audio, like storytelling, and especially live and without notes, like I love that stuff.
What's the moth?
The Moth it's literally stories told live and without notes, and it's stories
Oh.
from people's lives, like true stories. It's amazing. There's one about like this lady who like gets shipwrecked and there's these sharks underneath their raft. It's amazing. There's so many good ones.
Just gonna cut to Alex's face real quick.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's wild stuff. I'm glad I'm making a good enough face for
For a podcast.
radio.
Yes.
Face for
We
radio.
all have a face for radio here. That is very true.
But I love how like even some parts of it you were kind of like understated about like describing the actions and stuff, and it
wasn't-
just went so well together.
Good, because there was panels where I'm just like, I don't know what to say.
It came off great.
You were.
Yeah.
I could tell you were a little nervous too. I feel like they didn't. Let's just start trashing them. I feel like they didn't give you guys enough notice as to how that thing was going to roll out.
I don't think that they had ever done it before, and
No.
I think it's sort of a new thing. So like the other comic creators that were up there, they're like, yeah, I've never done it either. Because I was trying to like take notes beforehand and talk to like, have you ever done this before? Read through, and they're like, nope. And I'm just like, okay, so we're
Wild
all sort of
stuff.
like,
Yeah.
But they did send me a couple of examples, video examples of people
Oh.
doing read-throughs, and they were all just like slightly different. So I'm just like, I think I got it somewhere in the realm of what it's supposed to be. I'd never seen that before.
Yeah, I've never seen it before either.
Yeah, so I thought it was neat.
Matt, were you there for Friday night?
No, I'm
Okay.
wishing I was because I've never seen spoken word comics before.
It was.
It's a really cool concept.
They did it last year where they had four different, I guess five. It was five different
Yes.
presenters where you kind of got to know the personality of the story of the person who was making the comics. And this year they had 10 presenters, and it was a bit shortened in regards to, okay, you're just going to present some of your work. Although, like Jackie Davis, who I think is hilarious,
Yeah, she's awesome.
told the story of her making comics through her comics. So
Yeah.
it wasn't necessarily what her excerpts from her books, but it was just like the story of Jackie and making comics and things like that, which I thought was very funny. But yeah, it was different this year. That was I almost liked the format last year a little better because I want to get to know like who
they
you
are.
are.
Yeah.
I
And
thought
I
there would be a panel or something where we could
Yeah.
talk to one another. I thought that would be cool.
Because that's what. And then they did that last year. Was that everybody? There was like 4 or 5 presentations, and then they sat there and everybody kind of took questions. But it was a nice group, right? It was like a group panel on the stage.
It was a little bit of a panel after everybody went through
So
everything.
they're asking questions to specific artists, but then there's also banter on the stage, and again, you can get to see the personalities of the artists that are there, and like that. That's what interests me.
I keep telling Evan we should take it over and do a panel.
Well, it sounded like they wanted help. So I think you guys are in like Flynn. I mean, I'm telling you, talk to those guys, and I think you guys would definitely be able
don't
to.
say that to Aaron.
Give me Indie
Please.
Comics live.
I'm going out to Rochester
Please
tomorrow.
say-
I'm going to see Francis tomorrow.
Like 100%, I bet you guys could get on, like, make a panel yourselves.
I'm already exhausted.
Give me Indie
Dude.
Comics live at Rice.
I mean, this is happening. Dude, it's a wave. It's happening, and I can't wait. I'm excited.
All right, Cayetano, you need to go home.
You're encouraging me too much because
No,
now
I love it. I love
because
it.
like
It's happening.
because like the whole time that was happening, I was like, Evan, it needs to be us. We should be up there.
Yeah.
We should be the moderators. We control the horizontal and the
that's-
vertical.
It's going to grow every year.
That's arrogant and presumptuous.
Which is
And all I-
exactly where we are.
That's all I could think about was like, I could do this. I see that's going on here, and we
Yeah.
can move this around and do that and make it. Oh, that being said,
I'm not arrogant about a lot of things, but making comics and art, yes. I'm sorry. I am. I'm
Let's-
sorry.
we're
We're
gonna-
literally sitting here doing a podcast that is strictly about all of the
Yeah.
things that
Right.
I mean, and they were great.
they were great.
yeah.
Let's
I-
focus
yes.
on the fact that like
They did a good job. Yes, that's right.
this is so great for the community.
Yeah.
So many people that I talked to were like, "Oh, do they do this in Oswego or Syracuse or Buffalo?" And I'm like, "I don't think so, man. Like
Yeah.
something where, yeah, that's great to go to a convention and talk about Spider-Man. That doesn't interest me. Like
Yeah.
I want to talk to the creators. I want to see the people who are there. But like this is something where it's like
but even
it's the work of local artists who are putting forth their own stories, and that's I'm there for it all day.
Yeah.
I love it. I
Yes.
love it.
even when you go to talk to the artist about Spider-Man, I don't care about Spider-Man. I want to know what you're working on that you're not telling people about.
Yeah.
We met a friend there too. We met Matt. Matt, how are you? Are you terrified yet?
No, I'm good. This is my first podcast.
Okay.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
And it's
Welcome.
Yes, welcome. Yeah, thanks, Alex, for picking up the slack.
Well, what was your general take of Rice? Like, I mean, you hadn't done it
Yeah.
before, obviously. You just, like, came here, right? Or like right
Yeah, yeah. I came here in June, and I had never been to a comics convention before, let alone an indie comics one. So
Oh, right
it was
on.
really awesome.
Oh, right on.
Just meeting other creators. Honestly, I felt like I had this idea in my mind that other indie comics creators were kind of like in the shadows, like me. Like I was just like working in my room in my basement or whatever, and just not getting out there and meeting other comics artists. So like to see a whole convention where people were coming together was awesome.
Cayetano, you've talked about this a lot, and Aaron as well.
Yeah.
Making comics is a very solitary craft. Like even you have your studio at home, but it's like you even kind of say, well, I don't really interact with my wife or my kids throughout the course of the, like I'm just at the
Yeah.
drafting board, just drawing.
Headphones on, just like zoned in on making the work.
And much less, you have a very creative family. Your wife's an art teacher. Your daughter's super creative and things like that. But like, it's fun to get together with the people who can talk the craft at a very high level. And like, I know it got you juiced up. It got him juiced up. It's like it's really a fun environment to be around because again, it's a solitary craft. Everybody's got their stories that they want to tell, and it's fun to celebrate. Like, let's get together and let's share our stories with one another. Like it's amazing.
And
I love
also
it.
just to talk shop with other creators, like you know, what kind of pins are you using? Are you using a sable brush? I mean, that's like the nerdy stuff that I really get down on. Like I love seeing exactly how someone's like creating a page. I mean, I love talking about layout. I love talking about the way you design a magic system within a comic story, or like using a crow quill versus a sable brush versus one of the jet pens. Like I love all that stuff, and nowhere else am I gonna like find like a big group of other like dorks to talk about this stuff.
Nerd out and talk
Yeah,
process instead
exactly.
of like what you're actually working on.
And I love it. I
just
love
want to
it.
know how you're working on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I was nerding out over things that I never thought I would nerd out before, like the printing process.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Publishing, copywriting, just like the fine details of the process that just seems so mundane, but like
Right.
you're in a room full of everybody else who is going through that same process as you, so to like pick their brain is just really cool.
Yeah, like where are you getting your stuff printed, or like how are you binding your comics, like all that stuff.
Or where shouldn't you get your stuff printed?
Yeah, where should you do not go? Yeah.
And that's some of the most important things. Who shouldn't you work with?
We'll tell you afterwards.
Yeah, we'll tell you off air.
That
I mean,
Cayetano
I've
guy.
seen lots of people have great experiences with him. I just wasn't one of them. So
Can we look at Matt's book?
yeah, let's take,
Cayetano,
let's
did you
take a
get a
look.
chance to see this book?
I didn't get a
Well-
chance to look at even stuff like I went around maybe once or twice. I didn't get anything.
So Matt, I'm curious, like your angle into comics.
Yeah.
So did you grow up reading comics? Is this a newer thing or?
I didn't really grow up reading comics. The only exposure I had, I honestly only thought that comics were superhero related. So, and it just never really appealed to me. I never was really satisfied reading superhero comics. For whatever reason, it just never connected to me. So I didn't read any comics really growing up, except for like Sunday newspaper. Me and my brother loved reading Pearls Before Swine or Peanuts or whatever it was in the Sunday newspaper. It was, I think, like 2013, 2014.
How old are you?
I'm 23.
Just a baby. I was about to say the newspaper comics. I feel like aren't that man? Like I'm an old man. Like
I grew up reading them
Oh,
too. Yeah.
Phantom.
Yeah.
Oh,
all
I
that
love the
stuff.
Phantom.
Yeah, I grew up reading them, but it's not lost to me that probably not soon after my generation or my age group, like people probably don't read them at all anymore. I don't even.
It's
Do newspapers even get delivered anymore? I don't even.
They
it's
they
tough
do.
to even
they do.
find a good Sunday paper that has stuff in syndication, or even that's actively being, like pumped out. There's still Family Circus kicking around, but there.
I know
hasn't
you were
been
really sad
new-
that Dilbert
new-
just got
Yeah.
canceled.
Oh yeah.
Yikes.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm not.
No,
I mean,
so when I was moving, I came across a Dilbert book that was promptly thrown in the trash.
We threw out all our Dilbert books like 2 weeks ago.
I was like, oh, what an unfortunate way to just crash your career, to just be like that. But we don't have to
but
get into that.
the work itself is problematic too. I remember thinking back to to when I was a kid and he had and the cartoon was on UPN.
Yeah.
And I remember back then you only had like 3 channels, so if there's a cartoon on and it's new,
Watch it.
let's check it out. And I remember there was an episode where literally there was an Ethiopian country where they were eating mud.
Yeah.
And just thinking back to that is like it's
how
like
tone
yeah.
deaf and shitty were you then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is what they chose to go on national
Yeah.
television. So
Let's look at
There's been
Matt's
a lot.
book.
Yeah, anyway.
Let's stop talking about Scott Adams.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
This is
Yeah,
dope.
we've
Like,
got
I
some
love this.
some
This is
Right,
so
dude?
cool.
this little koala guy with these different fruits. Pretty cool.
So actually, tell us the premise for there's a kind of a preamble here
Yeah,
that explains what you were thinking of when you entered or started working on this book. But tell us a little bit about, and as he's going to flip through here on camera, just give us a little
Cosmic
voiceover.
panel.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so it's 3 different stories kind of compiled into one volume, all separate, different stories. But the general theme that goes throughout all 3 is just about the future, and more specifically, being anxious about the future, finding comfort in the future, trying to choose a different life path for yourself when there are so many different options, so many different things that you want. I think it's something that a lot of people can relate to, whether they're going through it now or they've gone through it in the past.
Keep flipping.
So
Okay, I'm reading it, I guess.
some introspective stuff. I think it kind of gets into like
Ooh, this is great.
weird
I
ideals
love it.
and yeah,
I found it very introspective and intelligent.
thank you.
Do you read?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Do you read any Charles Burns or anything like that, like Black Hole or anything like?
No, but I have heard of Black Hole. I've been meaning to check that out.
Yeah, because
What
like
about, what about like cricket, man?
I don't know cricket.
Sammy Harkham's.
I don't know all of Sammy Harkham. I know that book that you.
This
you told
has
me.
similar vibes. Sorry, I totally interrupted.
Yeah, no, it's all right. I see like
Cayetano,
I see
don't be afraid to get out
I
of that
see some
microphone
like
either.
Chris Ware in here too. Maybe some. Have you read R.Q.O. Johnson?
No.
This
He
is
did
where
not-
we
he
just
did
start
not-
throwing
Night
We
things
Fisher.
go
out.
off the rails.
I love it,
and
yeah.
Everybody
Jot these
gets a
names down.
little lost because everybody brings their pool of indie knowledge in.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, Alex and I look at each other and go, I don't know what they're talking about.
This is so finesse. It reminds me of R.Q.O. Johnson, who's done a ton of like New Yorker covers and stuff. He's done Night Fisher and some other stuff.
Oh,
You know what I'm talking
yes.
about?
Okay, yeah, I have seen that. And actually, one of the shops in town. Yeah, Night Fisher. Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah,
I
it's
just picked
really
that up.
it's really good, and the artwork is like it's very precise, which is what I'm seeing in your stuff. Just very very precise.
Did you know Night Fisher is that's a debut? That's their first comic.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Didn't he do another one? I thought he did one a
I
long
was just
time ago.
reading It said that it was like the first graphic novel.
Okay, maybe he did a comic series when he was
Maybe,
younger.
but
Because I
it's
think I
gorgeous.
watched an interview with him, and he talked about doing stuff when he was younger. But yeah. Anyway,
It could always be the strange thing of like you work in comics, but maybe you never compiled or published it, or it was only published in a very small form, like zine format, and then
Yeah.
it's lost to time.
yeah.
That's
And
pretty
there was a
much
whole
my
interview
story
with
as
him.
well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he does a lot of illustration work.
How do you compose your pages? You had there were a couple elements in here, a couple panels that I thought were very, very creative, and that it really a lot of it was dialogue, but it really moved your eye around the page.
Yeah.
And not that I'm a stickler for the rules of how things work, but I love when I'm approached with a page or a panel layout where I'm like, this doesn't follow the rules, but it doesn't need to because it really it makes it stronger in the end. So I don't know if you want to talk about how your page design comes
Yeah.
about or
No, I love that you brought that up because that's something that I very intentionally approached with a lot of
Like, look at
my
this.
pages and my panels. One thing, so I don't have an art background. I didn't go to school for art, but there was when I was a freshman in my undergraduate, there was this comics class that I found that was being offered one semester my freshman year, and I begged the teacher to let me in, even though I wasn't an art student at all, and he let me in, and I took the class. And he was giving this one lecture one time, and he's bringing in different traditional art techniques or ways to view art, I suppose. Kind of like he would give us paintings or he would give us illustrations, and he would tell us to focus on where our eyes went first and the path that would travel around it. And he told us, he's like, apply this to your comics. It's not just paintings. It's not just illustrations. Especially with comics too, the flow of the panel, the way the reader will progress through it. You need to guide the reader with your eyes. So a lot of them, I very intentionally structured not just the panel construction, but the content within the panel to where things would kind of converge in a very specific way in a direction that I wanted to take the reader, usually to the next panel. But yeah.
Cayetano,
Yeah.
what are you thinking?
I'm just looking at like the beauty of these panels. I absolutely love them, and there's like What I love about it is that it's complex and simple simultaneously.
Mhm.
Like it's
Yeah.
almost like these like effortless drawings, and
This gone fishing bar scene where it's almost
Here, a
like a
couple
Where's
pages.
Waldo type thing, but like it's just the nuance, the
I
little detail.
I love growing up. I loved Where's Waldo. I had these different posters in my room that were just like gigantic posters, but these tiny little cartoon characters or illustrations that were all packed in. And I would stare at them for hours. And I thought about it in making this process. I was like, I probably was very subconsciously influenced by that, and that's why I love little details so
There were
much.
a lot of Mad Magazine covers and spreads that were like that
Yeah.
too, where there's lots of hidden images and just lots of busy stuff, but it's still very readable.
I love these little fish
Yeah.
people fighting here.
Oh,
That's
thank
great.
you.
and like just like that the simple
Oh, some
style of
bug
it, but like
people.
I admittedly I haven't read this, but it seems like what you're talking about is like complex ideas with a simple drawing, and I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
Putting that together. And also like like think about like the simplicity of like Andrew McLean and like the
Okay, yeah.
those comics are like just
Headlopper.
very simply drawn, but they're so freaking awesome. I don't know if I can cuss or not.
You can cuss as much as you
All right,
want.
so fucking
We're,
awesome.
we're not regulated by the FCC here.
I love.
We're allowed-
Headlopper.
Right on, yeah, super
Yeah,
cool,
I
right?
love the series.
And like that's like, I don't know, this it's just really beautiful to me. I
Uh,
absolutely love.
we've
it.
got to show you.
Thank you.
Do you know Shaky Kane?
No.
Oh, we got to show you some Shaky Kane. That'll. I think you'll appreciate that. He's got it. He's got a cool style. But anyway, some
Cayetano,
bug-
talk about your experience there. Like I feel like you cleaned up, right? Like
It
you
was-
were very you came up at the end. I was so happy for you. Like,
Yeah.
dude, I sold out of my book, of which I didn't even. Although, did you bring books here today?
I did. Yeah.
Okay, because I didn't get a copy of that either. I wanted a copy
Yeah,
of that.
I brought 10 books for the shop.
Okay, great. Yeah.
But yeah, it was great. I mean, like it had been a while since I was on that side of the table at a comic book convention. I mean, I've been to like comic things.
Ooh,
And,
let's
like,
do
I've
this on
been-
camera.
I went
yeah.
to SPX. I was on the other side of the table at SPX, but that was like back in like probably 2008 or 2009.
So
So
it
it
was
was
a
like years ago. And it
while
was
ago,
sort of
yeah.
like what you're talking about. It was I put out these comics that were more like zines, and this is pretty much a zine comic, because it's just staple bound, like little half page sort of size, But like the experience all overall was amazing. People were loving it, and I sold a lot of prints, which is what I normally sell. I sell prints.
My
I-
girlfriend just hooked up all of the prints that I bought for her of yours.
Oh, right on. Yeah, but it was cool. And the thing was, is like so many people came up and they like, telling me how much they loved the reading the night before, and like literally everybody that picked up like looked at that book, they were like, "Cool, I'll take it."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
Like,
a beautiful book.
There
Like
wasn't
the
anybody that was just like, "Oh, okay," and then put it back down. So like I thought that was pretty good, and just like talking with the other people, like the people next to me, that one of those books,
yeah.
the one with the labyrinth in there.
Yeah,
Super
she
cool.
was great. I'd
Yeah.
never met her before either. She's just a Rochester.
She moved from the city. She used to be in the city, and she moved to Rochester recently. In the last,
Okay.
like, 2-3 years or something.
Because I didn't know who she was at all.
Yeah.
And actually, I commented on one of her things today to make a Rochester joke, and she got my Rochester joke. So she must have been around long enough to,
Yeah.
to know the Rochester
sure.
inside jokes.
But yeah, she was really great, and I love the tone of her comics. It's so strange and mysterious, and just like talking with other creators. I mean, like Daniel Warden was just like, yo, he wants me to come out and talk to his RIT class about comics. And then there was another guy
Very
there who
cool.
was also at a college, and he wanted me to go and talk to his class. And I'm just like, that's cool, like
Yeah.
like college level stuff. Talking about comics, and like I've talked to college kids about sign painting and like fine art stuff.
Explain to Matt what your regular, well, not regular gig. You have a variety of gigs, but
I mean, I'm
Many,
an
many
all around
talents.
like artist, I guess, but I do sign painting and like logo design and like selling prints and doing like commission work. So that's like my.
where'd you
regular
get that
day job.
beautiful T-shirt?
This one that I made. It's covered in paint, but it's my coffee
Yeah.
Death T-shirt. So I make T-shirts as well. That's one of the things that I sell at my booths because I go around the Northeast and sell prints and artwork and stuff like that.
Nice.
And I also do like gallery work. So like this year, I'm actually like organizing 2 shows, one in June and then one in September. So it's an intense year. But I'm also I'm doing like pretty much anything that I can get my hands on just to make the pony go. But comics is like my absolute passion, and that's the thing. Like with this show, I was telling people that like I have always like constantly put the comic on the back burner in order to do other stuff more like because there's not. I'm not getting into comics to make $1 million. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
should.
Yeah, no,
it's,
but, well,
it's passion, and so
Yes.
that's what I'm really like. I
Show
just
Alex
sort of
that double page.
decided that I'm going to like pursue this passion
it's
and make it
fantastic.
happen. Yeah.
That page is
Jonathan
sick.
Jonathan says, "Can I get one of Matt's books in my box, please?" And then he says, "Can I get one of Cayetano's in my box, please, too?" So, awesome.
What about my book, Jonathan? That's okay. It's fine.
And then also,
You're just
Yeah.
a co-host.
Yeah.
the other thing that happened is I went to the SU thing the next day. So it was.
Oh, yeah, how was the
3
Q's
days of
thing?
It's fantastic. And so there was this woman there who did, I think it was like her first graphic novel for Lee Bardugo's Demon in the Woods, which is an offshoot of Shadow and Bone. You know that show that's on Netflix now?
Yeah.
It's like season 2, and like Lee Bardugo, like she wrote my favorite YA novels of all time, Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. The best. Absolutely love them. Highly recommend if you're at all into like YA fantasy. Yo, it's a heist, but in fantasy world. Anyways, get off topic. But Danny Pendergast, who did, she does like covers. She's an SU grad, and she does like beautiful work. And she just did her graphic novel. So I went and talked to her speak. It was like standing room only.
Yeah.
Like so many people in there. And also, who was there is a Buffalo artist named Tyler Boss, who did.
Oh, he's from Buffalo?
I didn't know
He's-
Tyler Boss was
he's
from Buffalo.
So
I
he-
listened to interviews with him before. I didn't know he was from
yeah,
Buffalo.
He's super cool, dude. And so like I talked to him for a
Tyler
while.
Boss is doing what's the furthest place?
What's the
Yes,
furthest
and he
place
also
from
did,
here?
like-
Dead
Oh,
Dog's Bite, which
okay.
I
Yeah.
really liked.
The Dog's Bite's good.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then he also did 4 Kids.
Walk into a bank.
That's right.
Yeah.
And like his talk was really cool. Not nearly. It was ridiculous. I'm like, there wasn't hardly any people in there, and I'm
Yeah.
like, this is crazy because these
Really?
books are really cool. And so, but I was just like, yo, I'm taking over. I'm going to ask questions. And his whole thing was, his talk was about breaking into comics.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I found really, like, helpful and, like, authentic was that he talked about when everything falls apart and you have to start over.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, this is really cool because that's, like, as an artist, like, you know that, like, you make all these plans and things do fall apart. Like, and you have to build in time to like reconstruct everything that you're trying to do. And so when he talked about that, I was just like, this dude is fucking for real. And he has.
Now that was
these
the second
great
fuck out
projects.
of you, so we can't do a podcast only allows 2.
There's 3.
So like.
We've gone past our PG-13
Oh,
rating.
yeah,
now.
it's no longer PG-13. But he was a really cool dude, and he talked about doing the design and layout for Dave Chisholm's book, Chasing the Bird. So
No
there's a
way.
whole little connection there. So when I talked to
wild.
him afterwards, like I went out, like he went out to like have a cigarette, and I went out and just like chatted with them.
Yeah.
And so we had like a conversation. He knew the dudes over at Gutter Pop, and like he's just
Yeah,
a
they're
really
great.
cool dude, like super nice to talk to. And he talked about these people probably require agents to get published there. These people you can just submit because like one of the things he was talking about is submitting to different places and like how he got rejected across the board for 4 Kids.
Yeah.
And then eventually like a year later they got picked up. But like so after the talk I'm like, you said you like sent it out to all these different places. Tell me exactly what you mean by that. Did you send through like a submission form? Did you like just cold email them? Did you meet them at a convention or whatever? And he was basically like all of the above. Like try whatever you can, but email so that they have it, and don't be afraid to like email again.
Don't be afraid to email again.
Well, that he was specifically talking about a situation with me where I had talked to a publisher. He said email him. I did email him. He gave me one email back. I emailed in return, and it was crickets. And he's just like, dude, like, email again. And if there's no bites, just keep on pitching it.
I volunteer to be the terrorist mouthpiece for Cayetano Valenzuela. Like, I will go and promote your stuff to the end of the earth. And I think that now that you finished that one thing,
Yeah, and then the
We
next
should-
one
we
is
should
gonna be coming
revisit.
out next month. So because it's already done, it's already finished. The 3rd issue is pretty much done too. I've got a couple more pages to pencil on that and finish, but the story's finished. And then also the other thing about the SU convention is that I hung out some more with Frank Camuso, and he's
Yeah.
just obviously the
Yeah.
coolest dude on the planet.
Yeah, it was a wild time hanging out in the basement there.
Yeah, he's a super cool dude, and he's
Yeah.
so giving with like information. He's just a really kind person.
Yeah.
Matt Frank was the gentleman with the beard who was talking Rizzo with you.
Yeah.
He's the illustration professor at Syracuse, and he's been big in terms of supporting Cayetano and finding
He's also
hopefully
the-
finding some homes for his works.
Yeah, and he's just like giving with information. So he's like,
Yeah.
you know, like I've got this knowledge of stuff that I've done. You know, try this. You know, try that. You know.
And he's also the I think chief creative officer of
Ahoy.
Ahoy Comics, which is a comics publisher out of Syracuse.
Which does some legitimately good books.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
There's Billionaire Island. I have to have you guys ordered that for me. I flipped through that a little bit at a Barnes and Noble.
Yeah, there's one that just came out too. That looked really cool. Man, I wish I could.
There,
remember the
there's a lot of satirical stuff.
Yeah.
I like they do a really good job of satirical, like humor and
name.
concepts.
Snifter of Terror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's-
there's also Happy Hour. That looks really cool too. That's an older one now, but
Yeah.
it's like everyone
I-
has to be happy in the future.
I wonder
Did
if
you
I
get that one?
I think
Captain-
I might have issues of that.
Captain Ginger was the cat space one.
Mhm.
My bad.
High Heaven.
My
Yeah.
bad's
I
fun.
have
Oh,
a lot
I
of copies of
loved
High
High
Heaven.
Heaven. Did you read that?
Yeah, well, I have spotting illustrations in almost every one of the issues.
Oh, okay. I really
Look
like
in
the regular
back.
story
Don't
in that
forget
too.
the back matter. There's some really
What-
cool back matter.
Yeah.
In the back of these comics, they put like a bunch of like short stories written by a lot of like comic book creators and stuff. And so they'll like go and like just hire like not random, but like comic artists to do the spot
Yeah.
illustration for the story. And it's been really cool. There's been some really cool artists on there.
Yeah, and Tom Payer is the I think editor in chief
Yep.
out there, long time comic writer. Wrote a whole bunch of stuff. I think I picked up his Quicksilver series a bajillion years ago, but he's written all kinds of Marvel stuff over the years. I think he did some DC stuff too. Are you familiar with the name?
I think he was at DC for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was at DC for a while.
Yeah.
Talk to us about how your tabling went.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, it was busy. Yeah, I was talking to people. I think I was selling stuff like right up until the end. Just talking and
This was definitely bigger.
sometimes
than
doing more talking than selling. But well, you know,
what we do.
Sometimes that's more important.
yeah, getting in the mix and chatting with some people and people buying a lot of issue number 1 and a lot of issue number 4, which is interesting. But
It's a kind of funny loop around when we were standing there talking about the manga. It's like, why did you errantly skip 2 and 3? It's like, it doesn't really matter. You're buying it, but like, go figure.
Now
Yeah.
I explained this
Yeah.
to everybody
Yeah.
why issue 4 was selling, because the way he had books staggered
Mm-hmm.
was everybody wants issue 1.
Mm-hmm.
Issue 9 is the new book.
Yep.
But he had them tiered so you could see the full cover of issue 4.
Sure.
With 2 and 3, all you saw was Wesley the Robot, the logo. You didn't see the full.
Okay.
So my thing is, and this is we like when we sell magic cards out of the case here.
Yeah.
We've changed our script to put the most pricey cards in that row at the
Yeah,
bottom
yeah,
of the
yeah.
row. So it's the first card that you see because that's what people are buying because they see the entire card. They don't see if it's the half image or just the title,
Sure.
they're less inclined to buy. So that's my theory with your thing was that like whatever book you want to merchandise and you want to sell the most of, if they're tiered,
Yeah, yeah.
put that one at the bottom so the person walking by sees the full cover, and I think they're going to gravitate towards that because that's exactly what happens with our merchandising out there. If they could see the full card
It
image,
brings an interesting point to like, especially smaller convention stuff, like how you do your table layout to,
Yes.
especially as people are like the first hour of any convention. Because I've worked a few conventions myself, and like you need the splash, but you need it to be appealing enough where they'll stop.
Yeah.
So I guess that really makes a difference. Like if you know that 1 is there, but like 4 is more prevalent, and like they'll get 1 because they're gonna stop and buy stuff, so they want to
because they want a number
started.
1. Yep.
But if that's what they see, because you have limited space or like the racks that you have, or pick any number of reasons why. But like you also can't put too much up. So if you had all 9 issues, putting it as a wall starting at 1 and going to 9 would kind of be the visual vomit that is difficult to kind of work through.
Well, I'm proud to have stood behind that visual vomit for the duration of the Rice show in 2023.
Did you have like the wire rack that you like?
No,
put them
not
all
wire.
down?
I had plastic, but it did go 1 through 9.
Explain to the folks at home what your wire rack actually is.
Oh yeah, I have a wire rack that has a little display, has a little frame on it that I duct tape to it. It's actually a toilet paper holder.
I mean, that's just creative repurposing.
Right on. I was actually looking for racks for this exact reason on eBay today.
Yeah.
Like big magazine racks so that things can be more visible.
Toilet
And the-
paper holder.
Well, the thing is, like I find that like at like shows, the more you have that's visible and easy to pick up,
Yes.
the more people buy.
Yeah.
So
I think I'm going to strip down the display when I go to Ithacon. I think it's going to be more issue number 9 focused, just because that's my best work. I've got fresh copies of it.
Right.
I want to push that a little bit more. I'm still going to have other stuff in there too, but yeah, and it's all, and I'm pushing towards the collected too. So I don't want to be in the single issues game forever, because eventually that whole thing is going to be one big chunk. In fact, I'm
awesome.
so like this is something I've been working on. I have Evan helping me with some of this stuff, but there's a grant I found out, and the deadline is like tomorrow. But one of the things is you have to print out the entirety of your book so far.
Oh my God!
And
look at that monster.
I know. Look at this. Look at that chunk.
The girth.
the girth.
And this
Wesley's girth.
and this is
That's a big plumpy
Normally,
Wesley.
you only get that much content out of a hardcover.
yeah. This I mean, and I haven't even added the extra stuff to this. This is the pre-existing published stuff. Like,
That's dope.
but
How many pages is it going to be, you think?
in the end, the whole final thing is gonna be like 250 pages, 252 pages. Wait, I mean, but that's not all just story. That's extras and interviews.
You've got roughly like 180 pages of art or something,
yes,
right?
yep, 180 pages, yep. And that's not the last we'll see of Wesley. But,
That's one of the things. The back matter is something that I feel like I missed on, like in this. Like just put like little extra
On this?
sketches and stuff in the back.
Well, I mean, this is the introduction to the story. I mean, you
Yeah.
get that later on.
It's like I don't know. Like I feel like I love seeing like little extra sketches in the back. And,
Oh,
like,
it's
Yeah.
great.
process
It's
stuff,
one of
like-
my favorite things. It's one of the parts that always hurts a little bit when you get like a trade. It's like, oh, all the stuff that was in like the single issues, when they had to trim down for the combined editions, like it got lost. But then
I'm
sometimes
not
you
doing
get
that
it
for
back.
Wesley. I'm gonna do even more.
Yeah,
Right on.
see, I love that, because like sometimes you'll gain it back in like a deluxe hardcover.
That's why I started drawing in sketchbooks again too. Like I bought a whole bunch of these.
Sketchbook day at your house was a fun time. So
Yeah.
the fact that you're talking about adding stuff to the back of your books, like I'm totally down with that.
Yeah.
We should do another one of those. Yeah, when summer hits, we could do that pretty regularly.
Nice.
As long as get the baby to take care of too. But
The baby's fine.
yeah, I mean, but I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave to
The
wrestle
dog
with
can
her all
watch
the time.
the baby.
Put a crayon-
Eventually,
put a
yeah.
crayon in her hand and
Yeah,
let her sketch with us.
Before I came here, Lucy had one of those little shakers, one of those little egg shakers, and she was like running around laughing, and Tootsie was just chasing her around the living room.
Yeah,
so if
see,
I just
it's already there.
I just come in and check on him every 15 minutes, and we'll be all set.
What trouble could a 1-year-old get into?
Yeah.
Nothing.
I mean-
yeah. Jonathan Lego Man says Wesley Omnibus. It's coming.
It's coming.
It's going to be the George Lucas edition too. So there is going to be a difference. You'll be able to see the progression with the older ones and the collected.
The Omnibot edition.
Omnibot. Should I call it that?
I mean,
I don't know.
It's
That's
not
pretty
bad.
cool.
It's not bad. I don't think anybody's ever done an Omnibot.
Let's
Are
look
you
at
guys
Dave
thinking-
Chisholm stuff.
Okay,
We do
yeah.
that? I'm
we
sorry,
can- we
Cayetano.
can do
I
that.
was just gonna ask if you guys were thinking about Nickel City.
I have not looked into it yet. Is it?
Yeah. I'm gonna apply. I'll see what happens. But they had
When
sent
is
me-
it?
Man, I don't remember.
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
Definitely doing Ithacon next. I want to see if they're doing Uticon, because if they're gonna do Uticon again, that would be an easy one for me to do because my in-laws are up there.
Right on.
That would be like the easiest show to do. I feel like I should just do it just because. But I'll look into Nickel City. We've got friends out in Buffalo too. But anyway, Dave Chisholm, celebrated Eisner nominated, Ringo Award nominated, author and graphic novelist, also PhD holder in music and playing trumpet, a polymath.
Look
Isn't
at that
is the
beautiful
word?
sketch he did for me too.
Yeah, it's a nice
He
sketch.
played the trumpet.
Hey
for
man,
his,
you had an opportunity to buy this book too, so I'm just saying.
I said I was going to, and he was like, "Oh man, just get me later." But then I was at my table.
It was 3:45. The event stops at 4:00,
Yeah.
and I go, "Hey Dave, I'm sorry. Do you have any more copies of that book left?" And he goes, "Yeah, I got one copy of it." So I'm like, "I would like that one copy of the book." And Dave goes, "Okay, can I sign it for you? Do a little sketch for you?" "Yeah, sure." What did I just do?
Did
Did
we
you
ruin
close
it?
the stream?
Nope,
Is
I
this
didn't.
it?
We're still
Okay.
there.
He crossed the stream.
I crossed the stream. So then, was it you or like? I don't know. So then I get in trouble. That
I'm
like,
not terribly upset about it because there's some things in the works for me to get a copy.
look. You could have bought that book too. You had up until the 3:45 to buy that book, and I bought the book.
You had till whenever you.
Well, I was
came
very
home.
distracted by the people I didn't know, so I was wandering around, and they had a retailer there too that had some old '80s black and white stuff.
This is not my problem. Anyway, it's a
But
beautiful
it's
book.
not. It's
that's
not
mo-
even a problem. I'm getting a copy of the book.
I don't know why you're so defensive.
me.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That sounds like I got a copy of a signed Neil Gaiman book.
Yeah.
And the person who had got me into the event was right behind me.
Yeah.
In the line, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, I can't let go of that.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, that's
How
like
unfortunate for you.
that's like a buddy of mine who lives out in Rochester. We gone to some of the same concerts and stuff, and I bought my tickets like way ahead of time. And I'm like, "Are you going? Are you going?" He's like, I don't know. And then the event comes up. He's like, "Oh yeah, like my dad's friends like bought tickets a while ago, but they can't go, so now I'm going." And then we get there, and my seats are way back here, and they're like fourth row, and I'm like, "Come on, come on." But I've had my fair share of luck at shows too. Like when the first time I ever saw The Faint, was like my favorite band ever, was at the Trocadero in Philadelphia.
Love the Trocadero.
And I got there.
Wow, that's a weird reference. Yeah.
I got there super late, and for whatever reason, I got there. A couple people saw that I had gotten there late, and they were like, "Hey, do you want to get closer to the stage?"
No.
And I was
No,
like,
don't.
"Yes."
I love being in the back.
And they helped me get like right up to the front.
dude,
I was
yes.
who does that's never happened to me at a show before or after ever.
That's awesome.
These people, and it was amazing too. Like
Yeah, I mean,
they'll-
they're awesome.
Trocadero, my buddy and I used to go
Yeah.
down, drive from Buffalo to Philly to go see some shows down there because we loved some of the band. Good venue.
Mhm.
And we would bring our fake IDs that we got from Toronto, and they never questioned them. So shout out to the Trocadero crew.
Right on.
Yeah, and the only show that I saw that was better than that one with The Faint was when I saw them at what is it, Terminal 5 in New York City, and that was even better because I got to go with my wife and my brother-in-law, and it was just an awesome time. They had, like great openers and stuff too. And what was cool
Can
about
we
the other
appreciate how beautiful this book is, by the way?
one? Yeah,
Yeah,
I know
it's
we're just
gorgeous.
just talking about shows. Well, we got into the music part, right? We're just
Yeah, I mean,
thinking about
it's
music.
inspiring us to think about music.
we just get
Who-
to look at it. From
I
over
love
here.
his inks.
Yeah. No,
Look at how textured these inks are. Like just leaving the dry brush in there, and this is all by hand too.
who's coloring this?
I think he's coloring
That's
it.
what I think so
No
too.
way, really?
Yeah, I didn't see any other
Just
credits.
full on passion project.
No, he was
Written, drawn, colored, and lettered by Dave Chisholm with color
wild.
flats by Dustin
That's
Payette.
awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
I love the idea of somebody just taking control of the whole process.
Yeah, that's what's unique about comics. I mean, not to be like I'm taking my ball and going home like that kind of mentality, but like to just fully realize an entire story and control every single part of it, so that it's one person's vision. It's uncompromised.
This is just disgustingly good.
Yeah,
It's so good. And it was really emotional hearing him read, and then when
Yeah.
he played the trumpet, like
yeah.
I was getting off verklempt.
Well, yeah. When he pulled when I saw
talk amongst yourselves.
when I saw him bring that trumpet, I'm like, he's gonna destroy.
Yeah, it was so good.
his thing was he did a comic reading, and then it's about two trumpet players and kind of a very emotional story. And then at the end of his 10 pages that he pulled out his trumpet, he's again PhD in trumpet,
Yeah.
and he just played a little bit. It was like, wow,
He just
that
rocked.
was really
He just
powerful.
rocked
It
it.
was just perfect.
Yeah.
And you could hear a pin drop other than just this beautiful tone of this trumpet going out in the auditorium. So good.
Wow.
And he had a great
Wish I was
story.
there.
Yeah, he had a great story about Paul Pope too. Like Paul Pope is like one of his heroes.
Yeah.
And just randomly, he was in New York City one time. He just ended up at his friend's apartment that Paul Pope also happened to be there, but Paul Pope was going through a really rough time.
Paul Pope also knew who he was because
Yeah.
Paul Pope is a jazz musician fan.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So
kidding.
like to have your
It's wild.
the musician, like the comic guy who looks up to the musician who looks up to the comic, and they meet randomly in an apartment in New York City, and they're both like, "Hey, we're a fan of one another."
And like Dave Chisholm like helped him like through the night because he was just going through some stuff.
Oh,
Like his hero, and he's like comforting his hero.
That's awesome.
Like what
don't meet your heroes.
What a wild! No, I've had some good experiences with people I respected. Adam Kubert was awesome, but he's got hundreds of thousands of hours of dealing with people like me, and Sean Phillips too, who also has hundreds of thousands of hours.
His daughter is doing a new comic.
Andy Kubert,
Oh,
his daughter.
Oh, Emma
okay.
Kubert. Yeah.
Emma Kubert. Yeah, she's
Wrong Kubert.
she's
Sorry.
a-
I know that there are
she's
many
busy.
Kuberts.
There's even more. There's editors, Kubert editors, and
What's the new Emma Kubert?
Is it
comic?
Stoneheart?
Uh,
Stoneheart, I think.
I think that you're right. It came out like 3
Month-
weeks ago.
month ago? Yeah.
Maybe 3-4 weeks ago.
Is it? It's through Frank Miller Presents, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is that why
believe
she
so.
stopped doing the cat one?
No. So I heard some like mild inconsistencies of that she still had mileage to go with that story, but like they
I
were
love
slowly losing interest in publishing it more or less because it didn't have the numbers, even though it was Image.
See, I feel like that did good numbers here, but I gotta. What do I know?
Yeah, that's like every splash that I read, from any outlet that was willing to report about it a little bit was pretty much just that, the numbers had started to drop off enough where either she wasn't interested in continuing or they were like, hey,
had a good run.
Yeah.
maybe you wrap it up. And it kind of had a unceremonious ending. Like it was an ending,
Yeah.
but you could tell that there was still, like, she could return to it, I suppose, at any
Yeah.
point. I mean, it is creator owned and through Image, so you can do whatever you want with your stuff.
It seems like she's been received very well in the
Yeah.
in the comics community, and she can kind of like write her own ticket to like whatever she wants to do almost.
Matt, talk to us about counting fish.
Counting fish. What do you want to know?
I want to know all of it.
Well, that is basically my day job. So
You count fish?
not real. I'm in fish research, so that is one component of the job, one major one.
So are you a scholar of natural biology of some sort?
Yeah. I studied wildlife biology in my undergraduate, and then I came out here for a job in the
To
fisheries
count
world.
fish.
Do you
Oh,
work
Salmon
with
River or
like
something?
USGS or anybody like
Yeah,
that?
USGS,
Okay.
right here
Yeah,
in town. Yep.
Yep. I see those guys all the time.
Yeah.
I work for the city, so
Okay.
I travel here, there, and everywhere.
So what are you doing? You're like just keeping track of like populations or something?
Yeah, we're working with a certain population called corriganines. They're kind of like an endangered group of fish in the Great Lakes. So we're trying to resuscitate their population. And
Cool.
yeah,
Do we have groupers here?
yeah,
I think
that's
so.
saltwater, right?
That's a
Do
saltwater
we?
fish.
Oh,
Is it?
I'm thinking of
Sturgeon.
no, it's like an invasive species that is actually good to eat. I can't remember. What it
I don't know.
That was grouper, maybe I'm wrong.
It's been a while since I've thought about fish, but there's a lot of them.
We definitely have carp. I mean,
There's
Oh, yeah.
like you'll see, and when they get too big to do anything, they wash up on shore in a giant bloated mess.
Well, I know that there was some fish that was like is so like,
Goby. You're probably thinking of goby.
they're like trying to rename a fish so that people like eat it more
I don't know.
because it's invasive. I don't know.
That's fine. I like that.
Because
I like fish.
there was definitely a fish that made it into the Great Lakes that ate the zebra mussels, which everybody's like, oh man,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't
Ooh.
slice
I think-
my feet up on everything now.
Yep.
But then it got kind of out of control.
It's Goby. I think. It's
Okay,
Goby.
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
They I don't know, for a while it was like readily encouraged that it's like, oh, if you catch it, just smash it on the rocks and something will eat it. It's like, great, that's a really
Welcome.
weird way of handling the population, but yeah.
Welcome back to Fish Talk.
that reminds me
we
of,
were talking about how I can tangentialize on just about anything. So you
Yeah.
know.
Back,
gotcha.
back in the day, I used to be a lifeguard out at Selkirk and Sandy Island, so I've encountered those zebra mussels.
Oh,
quite
what a
bit.
nightmare they are! I'm glad that the population has dwindled to a point where every time you touch a rock or anything, you don't
Yeah.
just immediately get sliced wide open.
But I wanted to segue into this beautiful little story of at the end of every day, somebody had to go and check the bottom of the swimming area so that we could like check off a thing that no bodies, all clear.
Yeah.
That's very sweet.
which for me, like I haven't swam in a long time now, but I really enjoy underwater swimming, and we got to put on my little flippers, and it was just super enjoyable because that's my scene. I like that. And we'd check underneath like the guard towers and too because they would be out in the water. And one time there was a little
body.
no, well there was a body, but it wasn't a person, and it wasn't a dead thing either. It was just a live live fish chilling right underneath this little lifeguard chair. And I was like, I wonder if I can touch it. And so I like used my flippers to get real close to it, and I booped it, and it was like "What?" and then it like
You're
went
not
away.
supposed to be here.
Yes, I booped a bass.
Nice. Love it.
Oh, what else we want to look at? Is there anything else we want to?
There's a pile underneath here.
Yeah, do we
There's
want
all
to do
kinds of
lightning
stuff.
round?
Yeah, let's just do a lightning round of things.
So I sniff
This
you.
was the Sarah Harvey that you tabled next to
Yeah.
that I thought was fantastic.
She wrote "darn it."
So she said there was a swear word in this book, and it was only $5. And I said, I'll give you $10 if you write another swear word in it. And she wrote, darn it. So then I gave her $8.
Nice compromise.
Swear adjacent.
Swear at Jason. There we go.
Yeah, this
She-
one is
she's-
really cool.
She's very talented, though.
Whoa,
And then she
look
just
at
said
this
just
maze.
comics. She didn't do any fine art or anything like that. But I had never run into her, never heard of her before. And this stuff was great, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is very nice.
And it's really strange. Yeah, and that's what I love about it. It's just like
Who
it has
is
like a real
Owl?
strange tone to it.
Yeah.
It's like magical realism, and that's what I absolutely love.
So, is this your first and only book that you have,
Yeah.
Matt? So,
Yeah.
okay.
First comic. Yeah.
Are you working on anything else?
Yeah, I got some stories in the works right now.
That's cool.
Gonna be moving on to.
Excellent.
That's surprising to hear because I look at your book and I'm like, this is so like it feels very fully realized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For like a, for like a
Um,
first thing. My first thing did not look that fully realized. I think.
Who is Everly?
Oh yeah, this is the new book from Tom Lake and his daughter Everly. I love their concept because they do comics together. It's like my dream. Hopefully Lucy will like creativity and like not be super into football because that's my dream to do a comic with her at some point.
Comic about football.
If it gets me there, I'll do it. But this one was lettered and done the previous ones I think were a collaboration between Tom and Everly, and I think this is entirely her work. So
That's
see the
amazing.
It's
cat.
always a fun thing, you know. The big one that you can always point to is Axe Cop, like how well
Yeah.
that did.
Yeah. I love how irreverent that is. I feel like there needs to be more stuff like that. It's just so
Yeah.
irreverent and fun and just kind of
Well, it starts to
going for it.
lose its way because eventually, like
He's not-
the young creative person becomes an adult, and it's like you can
Yeah.
still keep doing that because like the age difference is still there, but the lighthearted, ridiculous nature is kind of gone.
He's
'cause you're not 9 years old.
Yeah, he's not
anymore.
5 years old coming up with
Yeah.
Flute Cop. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
now he's 14 and going, this is dumb, you know?
yeah.
I mean, I did get related to this. I got the best Christmas present from my kids. They wrote a comic book for me.
Oh, yeah?
About a very handsome toilet brush.
Oh,
Because I kept on telling them they weren't getting anything for Christmas except for a toilet brush, and so they decided to take the joke a step further and made me an entire
That's
book
even
about
better.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Some original underpants
hilarious.
and overbites artwork that my wife bought. I really should sweep, or I could, and I think she's not going to sweep. She's got a little grit on her toes. But this is a comic that my buddy Sally Peck, who's married to my other buddy Miles, did, and she released her first book. She was also one of the speakers there. I thought she did a really good job.
Yeah, she did like voices and everything.
Yeah. Well, her passion is like animation, so like I'm sure she has voices and everything
you
kind
can
of
sense that for sure.
figured out because this is very like early '90s Nickelodeon vibes.
I have the issue 1 of Witchaboos.
Yeah. Yeah, she did such a good job. Very colorful,
yeah.
very funny. I'm glad that she was the one who showed me. She had another version of Witchaboos a bajillion years ago now. She showed me her comic, and I was like, "Wait, you can just make comics and have them be printed?" And I just went insane. And I've since made like 3 graphic novels. It's crazy.
You can just make stuff.
Right.
It is weird, though, that, like, it's one of those things you don't think about, that, like, how does this stuff get done?
Well, it's kind of that weird insidery knowledge, like, you know, how do you get your feet wet in a whole territory where there's not a lot of, like, you can't go to school and talk to, like, you're a good example of somebody who could guide young people towards, hey, if you want to make a comic, I can basically tell you how from start to finish to finish.
Yeah, yeah, and I do that. I'm working on adapting some drawings. Well, they're pages. They're complete pages. A
Yeah.
complete graphic novel that one of my
Sure.
students completed, 98 pages.
That's awesome.
And I'm going to be photographing it and assembling it over break because I want it in time. Because we're getting an author to come in and speak, Ira Marks, who is
You
from
were
Sandy
talking about
Creek,
that, yeah.
but he wrote Shark Summer and Spirit Week.
Spirit Week.
And I have
We're
to
doing something with him at the bookstore, too, right?
Yes, I believe so.
think we have-
Are we in on that? Are we moderating it?
I think it's you and I and Ira Marks. I don't know what we're doing. I don't
I'm
know.
gonna get myself into all kinds of trouble being like overconfident about comics. I'll be like, let's talk about comics, and we'll be like, but what brush though? Digital or traditional? Okay.
It's okay. Emil will indulge that.
Hey, it's what it's. I mean, that's what we're talking about. I mean, I love that stuff. But yeah, I mean,
Let's look at some butts in transit.
we need to write a grant where I can do that and get paid. But anyway,
Yeah.
Let's look at
yeah.
some butts. Come
So-
on.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
like, we know people who, like, work in weird government things that, like, talk to people at the State Department that, like they're active customers of the
we need
comic
more
shop.
grants. We need some grants. We've already done stuff that we should have gotten paid for. But anyway,
Let's look at some butts. Can we look at some
so
butts?
can I
Butts.
can I digress and tell a story about
but
butts?
I digest.
Do I have clearance?
Yeah.
Okay. So this was done by the bearded art teacher, who is Mr. Jackie Davis. Who I'm sure he would love to be described that way.
Why they had Mr. Jackie Davis at a different table than Mrs. Jackie Davis
Or-
makes no
or
sense.
separate?
Or separate from one another.
Yeah, they were
Husband, different person with the table, and then wife. Why would you separate the husband and wife?
I don't know.
Or like, why wouldn't if that were
Do they
me?
apply
If that were me
separately?
and I knew that they were married, I would have been like,
I
"Hey
feel like
guys,"
even if they applied separately, like you
Yeah.
could have caught that and been like,
or,
maybe.
or,
it's
or
just-
even if
it's
you're the,
a table or a table apart. It's not like it's like one end of the room. It's just like you just need to move.
I think
one
that just
per-
becomes a funny joke at that point. Like,
Yeah.
maybe.
Like, who was the person in between? Like, were they like,
I don't even remember.
I don't remember either.
But like, if
I feel
you're
like
the,
when you
if-
try and convince somebody to like give up the aisle, like or
Yeah.
not the aisle, but like the
The
window
window
seat.
seat.
yeah. But like if you're the guy in between them and you see that they're married, if it were me, I know who they are, so I would have been like, guys, like let's just swap tables so that way you can be together because this is just weird. Me being like
Yeah, it's
in your
weird.
house, like hey there. Guys, this is an Airbnb in your living room that you live in with your family. Okay.
Can we focus on the butts, please?
Well, okay. I'm gonna. You made me digress into a different spot, but Mr. Jackie Davis was there, and I had just gone and bought a bunch of those black and white comics, indie comics from the '80s, which are my weakness. I'll just buy a ton of those just because they're a buck and they appeal to me. I like them, and so I brought those back, and he kind of wandered over because I talked to him earlier, because we're both art teachers, so we have that in common. And then and he's like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" It's like, "Oh, hey, I just went over to the retailer and I bought all these I bought like a huge stack of these '80s comics." And I'm like going through the covers. They have like bright pink, bright yellow on the covers, which I love. I love the 100% magenta, 100% yellow. And it's like, these are great. And it's like, oh, I found this artist, Mark Beecham. He did an issue of Peter Parker Spider-Man that I really liked. He's like really good at figure drawing. And I crack it open and I start looking through it. And he's like, these drawings are very focused on the ladies' butts. And I just keep going and like, it just gets more the motion
Lots
and
of
camera angles
butt
seem to
anatomy.
just be closing in closer and closer on this thing, and I keep flipping through and I'm like, oh, and then I got to a point where it's like, yikes, yeah, I didn't realize this was going to be that dirty. I am embarrassed that I showed this to you. And it's like, well, you could stop any time. And I was like, all right, I think I will. And then,
Perfect.
and then
here's this smut book.
and then he came over and he was like, here, can I trade you this for the Wesley book?
hilarious?
So-
I know
Oh
you
my
just showed me a
gosh.
bunch of smut, but will you go with a
But
whole
I have this
moment?
whole book.
I mean, it was
specifically
still
about
all
butts.
it was still all fully clothed, but like it was absolutely as far as you could go with superhero
Yeah, but,
costumes.
like
Yeah.
and
calling
yikes.
calling it fully clothed in a time where it's like, oh, it's spandex. We'll just basically draw naked people, but color it red.
We need to render this pelvis more.
Yeah.
More rendering on the pelvis. More rendering on.
I know
it's
that we're
like,
trying to
yikes.
get to the book, but
That's how I started making my first money, was selling drawings like that.
pelvis.
what is the
Ladies.
notorious artist that would just take adult film star scenes and make them into covers?
Greg Land, right?
Or I thought you were gonna say Dave Stevens.
See, and you guys, there's more than one example.
Well, Dave Stevens brought back Betty Page, right? So
But that was
but he's like a wonder kind. Well, he's since passed away, but Rocketeer guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Do
Greg
you want,
Land.
Do you want
Greg
to take?
any chance I get to throw Greg Land under the bus? I just don't like him.
He's a fine person. He's my best friend.
He steals art from DeviantArt accounts and passes it
Oh
off
well,
on
maybe
his
he's
own.
not my best friend. I don't even know him.
DeviantArt too is.
I just said that to upset Evan. But anyway, let's take a look at some butts, shall we?
Look at some butts real quick.
All right. So we've got some butts in transit. So Mr. Jackie Davis went to the airport. There are a lot of butts. There's big butts, little butts.
Can you give each butt a voice?
No, I don't do that. Local butts, out of town butts, round butts, square butts. I don't care butts. Everybody's got a butt. High butts, low butts, soft butts, muscle butts, pastor butts, cowboy butts, butts trying to hide, butts trying to escape, butts on a mission,
Butts trying to escape.
butts on a cushion, butts just passing through, butts just passing gas, butts on butts, rushing butts, resting butts, dragon butts. Next time you're bored at a big airport, take out your pen and become a butt scientist. Finn.
This is how we end every podcast.
I don't know. Become a butt scientist is not the.
I feel like they would be frowned upon.
Hey,
Like, oh, hey, stay still. I'm trying to examine.
I need to see your butt.
I'm trying to get a quick pencil sketch
I'm
of
a
your
doctor.
crapper. Hold on. Oh, gosh.
It's beautiful stuff.
I don't think we can end on a higher note than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful work by Mr. Jackie Davis, the bearded art teacher. Nice work.
I don't know. Gentlemen, do you have anything else? Anything you want to plug?
I don't know. Look out for issue 2 of Night Moves at Ithacon at the end of next month.
There you go. Anything you want to plug? Anything that you want to talk about that you're working on?
Right now I'm just working on some new stories. I'll be posting them on my Instagram, so at Matt_Win_art. Check it out.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to plug. You can see my very mediocre work looking through the city of Oswego at most of the street signs and other random stuff that's up. So
I feel like you should make an Instagram that's my
Oh,
mediocre.
if you want to see, like, I could just post the pictures that I take daily that are like stamps from motors and like reference photos of bad signs that I have to remake.
I'm offended that you haven't posted this
I'll-
content yet.
This is
That's-
actually a really
okay.
good Instagram, right?
I mean, I could. It's
Are-
probably
are-
not worth following.
Are you
but-
already taking the photos anyway?
Oh, I have hundreds of like. I
What
can
are you
show
doing?
I can show you today's photos. You go, who made that?
It's mandatory now. You just, like, don't even hashtag. Just throw them up.
Yeah,
I'll follow.
I'll do like the crappiest like sepia tone like just vignette filters on everything, and
if you
people
wanna
will
work that
love it
hard.
because today's picture was of the side of a fish cleaning station, and it still has a payphone attached to it. If you
I
can
love
think
it.
of where that is,
Right next to the old post office.
there you go.
I saw a phone booth out in Rochester.
That's wild.
Yeah, but let's see who else is left. Evan, you want to plug anything?
I got nothing.
112
Eastford Street, the comic shop.
I've got
There you go. That's your plug.
Thank you,
The
sir.
monster.
boom issue number 9. This beast. I even have a variant cover on this. Is the Kevin Delgado variant cover. I have my original cover of Was It the Robot number 9. A complete story. Don't be put off by number 9. Takes you on a journey.
Number 9 is just fine.
It's feeling fine.
Feeling fine.
It's a complete journey, unlike any of the other issues so far. If you haven't read any of these so far, I would think this is a perfect jumping on point. So yeah, check that out. It's up on my Etsy. You can bother Evan and make him ship it out too. So 112 Eastbridge Street, the comic shop, OswegoComicShop.com. You can get it from him. Yeah, that's my big thing. I've also got Preetza's Pizza and Creep of the Crop going on.
But you didn't do the whole bit. You didn't do the creep of the crop of the creeps.
The Creep of the Crop. Oh wait,
Man.
what is it? Creep of the Crop and the Crop of Creeps, Craptacular Crop
There
Show.
you go. You got it.
Pretty crappy.
There we go. There's
There's
also
Cayetano,
cr-
what's your
yeah,
Instagram?
anyway.
People want Instagrams.
Is Black Rabbit Comics, or my super long name.
Black Rabbit Comics, at Black Rabbit Comics. And then it was Matt_Win.
Throw mine in there.
Yep. What's yours?
I'm Pens and Pedals. There we go. Just because I forced my way into there as
Oh,
well.
hello, Sticks Boy Comics. We're just about to
hey.
wrap it up here. Yeah, okay.
Do you want me to talk about Preetza's Pizza, the human son of a living pizza man who must battle evil anchovy zombies with the help of LT Provolone, just like Judge Dredd with the cheese on his head?
Yeah. So you have the elevator pitch, and that's the best part. And you've said it so many times that you can say it fast, and there's still a flow. Nobody understands what you're saying.
Yeah.
But that's fine.
Yeah, at Ithacon last year, I busted out because I've got long phrases like already figured out. So he like came by and was like looking at stuff. I just busted out. He's like,
Whoa.
that's too much, too much. And then it was like, oh, you ever heard about the weather emergency system? And he's like, yes, I have. I was in the Army. And I was like, okay.
Damn, okay.
So
Well, there he is.
He in the weather emergency system saw some stuff. So
Take us home.
all right, you've been listening to The Comic Shop Does a Podcast with me, Aaron Zelia, creator of Indie Comics.
Oh, and I'm Evan Coy, consumer of indie comics. We're here with very special guests.
Matt Win.
Alex Dexter.
Cayetano Valenzuela.
I think that's it.
That was a great episode.
done did
Thank
it.
you very much, gentlemen.
Good night, everybody.